Hey guys, what's going on? This is Diamond Trades, head trader at Kane Capital Discord. And today I'm going to go over a trade that I made in Apple using the Unusual Whales software. If you're not in the Kane Cap Discord, definitely join up. We have a ton of great traders in there, great resources. It's an awesome trading community, over 15,000 strong now. So definitely jump in there. But today I'm going to go over a trade that I made in Apple, again, using Unusual Whales, right? And so today on the 15th, we kind of had a slower open. We had a kind of a pullback into the Fed meeting, kind of to set the scene. We had a high CPI print on Friday, right? PPI, Producer Price Index, came out yesterday on Tuesday, and that was another high read. So two hot inflation prints coming into today, and the Fed meeting, Fed decision, and Fed commentary was today at 2 and 2:30. And so knowing that, it was understandable why the morning kind of showed some weakness. I actually was not around to trade the open, thank God, because it was pretty brutal out there. But I was able to come in sort of like in the middle of the day, right? And I saw SPY sort of creating like a double bottom pattern on the chart. And so I thought, maybe we get some bullishness here into the Fed meeting. And luckily for me, that's exactly what happened. Right. And seeing SPY look like it was about to turn around, I turned my head to Apple. Right. The reason, first of all, that I turned my head to Apple is because on Friday of last week, the call volume was absolutely incredible. Right. And so the way that I will essentially use Unusual Whales to, put these stocks on my radar is I'll go ahead and come into the flow tab in Unusual Whales. Um, and this is all just using the current setup that I have. I have an entire video where I go over the ins and outs of Unusual Whales, how to use this amazing platform, and what kind of settings I like to use. And you can definitely check that out. We'll drop a link in the notes. But on Friday, and I think I should be able to go back and show you guys here exactly what it is that I'm talking about. So this would be Friday the 10th. You can go ahead and put that in there. Let's see what it returns. Right. So on Friday, as you can see, we just had a ton of bullish activity, particularly into the close. We have $1 million prints here, 1.4, 3.2, 1.6, a bunch of 500,000 plus dollar orders, right? So this is showing me a lot of bullishness on Friday, right, for calls. And on Friday, Apple was actually up like 2.6%. So that makes a ton of sense. And then early this week, it kind of pulled back a little bit. So knowing that they had that aggressive call activity on Friday kind of put it on my radar in the first place. And so I was kind of watching it all week, expecting it to turn around at some point. Fast forward to today, again, we had, sell off in the morning, Apple sold off too. And checking SPY, I had actually again seen that double bottom pattern, and so I decided to turn my attention to Apple, right? And I can go ahead and pull up the chart here for you, right? So Apple was actually creating a similar formation, right? So I can go ahead and turn on the extended hours for you guys so you guys can kind of get a better picture of what exactly it is I am talking about. Right. So this is Apple today. Again, in the morning, we kind of had this sell off here coming down, and I had some support down here at 172.35, right? And as we were approaching the support around midday, 11:30, I see on the 5-minute chart I was using, we got towards this support down here, and then I saw this immediate bounce off of the support, right? I'm going to go ahead and put on my studies just so that you guys can see exactly what I was seeing at the time. Right. So we have this nice reclaim of the 821 VWAP area, which was immediately to me showed a sign of strength down here at support, right? I get interested immediately, and I'm, again thinking, Apple had strong call volume on Friday. SPY looks like it might be ready to turn around. Maybe I can take some calls here for a retest of VWAP, this pink line here, right? But before I took those trades, before I got into that trade, I actually went ahead and checked Unusual Whales just to see what the option flow was like. and to see maybe if there was some options flow behind that aggressive move up that we got around 11:30. And so I'm going to go ahead and bring this back to today. Same settings. And what I'm going to show you guys is that at that time, so I took the trade at 12:34. So in the time leading up to 12:34, right? So again, my settings, 50,000 minimum premium, ask only, because I only want those aggressive bets. I don't want bearish, trades on the bid. I want people who are aggressively betting on these options. Calls and puts both selected. Maximum days to expiration 45. And then I'll have also out of the money only selected, just so I know that I'm getting trades where people are expecting the stock to move. I know sometimes, particularly in these large cap names, you'll see a lot of deep in the money options trades. That's not what I want to see. I want to see people who are making directional bets on a stock, right? Expecting it to move and expecting it to move soon with that 45 day to expiration range. So what I can do is I'm going to bring you guys back to the half hour before I took that trade. So again, I took the trade at 12:34. Leading up to that 12 o'clock, 12:30 time frame, right when we got that bounce, I go ahead and I check unusual whales and I see all of this ridiculous flow, particularly in the 175 calls, right? And that to me is signaling that somebody somewhere is bullish on the stock, right? Somebody somewhere aggressively wants these 175s for December 23rd, which is not this week's expiration, but next week's expiration. And I even see some weekly options contracts in there as well. You can see these are massive bets, 300,000, 300,000, 300,000. These are big bets. And oftentimes what I like to see is repeat buying. So as you can see here, same premium, same options contract, same everything, and they're just hammering these same contracts. So that to me is bullish. So that's what made me want to get into the trade in the first place after seeing that price action, checking unusual whales, seeing that bullishness. That's what made me want to hop in, right? We do have some puts printing here, but then again, it immediately resumes the call buying, repeat buying again, same option strike, same expiration, similar size. So that's another repeat buyer coming into Apple. That's telling me that large money is bullish on Apple. They're aggressively buying these calls for large premiums, and so that made me feel comfortable all the way up until this 12:34 time frame where I got in. You can see just continuous. Again, the 175s are getting hit here. Just this constant bullish flow makes me want to get in. And this one in particular, this string of orders right here between 12:20, 12:30, 175s for 2 weeks out. Massive size, 200,000, 400,000, 200,000, 200,000. So I'm seeing this flow in. This would have been 5 minutes before I entered the trade. I'm seeing this flow in. That makes me feel confident that big money is seeing what I'm seeing as well. So I hopped into the trade at 12:34. I alerted the Discord. I got into the 175 calls expiring this week, December 17th, for $1.45 or $145 is what I paid, right? Per contract. I alerted that to the Discord. And as you can see, actually, I'm going to bring you guys back to the chart here. As you can see, we actually didn't move immediately. So I added right here and this candle right here, right as we closed over the EMAs. And I'm feeling confident, to be honest. I'm feeling confident about this move. And then we get an immediate pullback, right? So from 12:34 when I added to about 12:45 for that next 10 minutes, we're seeing a pullback in the stock, right? And I'm getting, the help emojis and the shit emojis in the Discord. People are telling me I had a bad play, but I'm looking at unusual whales. I'm seeing the flow, and it's making me, it's giving me conviction in the trade. I had a 20% stop loss on the trade, which, if I remember correctly, would have been below low a day anyways. So I had some room here, realistically, to let these things ride, right? So I wasn't really bugging out. I had my stop loss. I had the unusual whales flow. That was giving me that confidence to take the trade in the first place. We winded up breaking above entry here, reclaiming the EMAs. We got a nice 821 EMA crossover here. And I begin to scale out my first scales as we approach VWAP. Something that we're always talking about in Discord is, you get into a trade as you approach resistance. That's when you want to start to scale out. That's personally how I trade. Obviously, different guys have their own strategies, but that's just something that works for me. I start to scale out as we approach this VWAP, and also I'm keeping in mind that by this time it's 120. I'm also keeping in mind that the Fed decision is coming up, right? And whenever the Fed comes out and he talks about what their outlook on the economy is, what they're going to do with interest rates, you're going to see a lot of volatility around that time, and that decision comes out at 2 o'clock. So every Fed Wednesday at 2 o'clock, you're going to see a lot of volatility in the indices and SPY and the Nasdaq and the Dow. You're going to see a lot of volatility in these large cap names: Apple, Amazon, Tesla, Nvidia. You're going to see that volatility, and so expecting that volatility to come, I scaled out of about 75% of my position beforehand. Now, on most occasions, I probably would have sold the whole thing because, again, we had this volatility that I know is going to come in. I know that we're going to get volatility at 2 o'clock. I know that. And that, as a trader, your job is to minimize risk. And if, I don't know, Powell could have came out and said anything really, he could have said that, they're going to raise interest rates today, right now. And that would have shocked, everybody. And that kind of would have caused a massive pullback in the indices in SPY and in Apple. It would have affected my position. And so usually I would have scaled out of the entire trade. One of the primary reasons that I didn't do that in this situation was because, again, I was checking unusual whales and seeing that we had this incredibly bullish flow. So we'll go back. So now we're talking, into 1 o'clock, 1:30 time frame. Again, I'm just seeing this constant flow the entire time. Look at this. There's 200,000, 200,000, 100,000, 100,000, like constant repeat buying in the 175 calls. So this is obviously somebody's aggressively bullish on the stock, which makes me feel good as somebody who has a position in it, right? And so I said, you know what, I'm going to keep 25% of my position until afterwards, and we'll see what happens. The Fed decision comes out. It winded up being pretty much in line with what experts and the market was expecting. And I think actually one of the primary reasons that the market rallied was because the Fed actually showed responsiveness to this whole inflation situation, as opposed to staying flat-footed. They were able to be adaptable and kind of change their policy to be more in line with the inflation expectations. And that's another topic for another video. But in terms of my Apple trade, it winded up working out perfectly, right? So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the chart very quickly, and you guys will be able to see that Apple actually came down to that support again, and then it winded up rallying for the rest of the day, right? And so Apple actually comes back down to this 172.4.3 kind of range, bounces, immediately rips up, breaks high day, continues. I scaled out a little bit here at this resistance that I had charted out, held like one or two contracts as a runner, and those winded up going about 200%. I netted 100% on the trade. And again, it was all because I was able to use unusual whales to add to my conviction. In the last video that I did, I talked about how I don't necessarily use unusual whales to find entry ideas, but more to add conviction to my trades. And I think that in this scenario, I actually used it for both. I used it not only to kind of add another reason, another layer of conviction to my entry in terms of getting in, but I also use it for conviction when I was already in the trade, when I was down a little bit in this zone, and even to hold through the Fed meeting. Just seeing all of that flow come in really made me bullish on Apple today, and that's how I was able to take advantage of this trade. So yeah, again, Unusual Whales is honestly just an amazing platform that you can use to add conviction to your trades. It can really show you that, obviously charting for me and my style is super important, right? Like the chart doesn't lie, the levels don't lie. That's just what I personally believe. But at the same time, using Unusual Whales to add another layer of conviction onto your trade can allow you to hold on to those winners a little bit more and have those asymmetric outcomes that we as options traders are seeking out, right? And so this is just another great example of how I was able to capitalize using Unusual Whales. If you don't already have Unusual Whales, I highly, highly, highly recommend getting it. Again, it has changed the way that I trade. We at Kane Capital have actually partnered with Unusual Whales, and you can use code KaneCap to get 10% off of your Unusual Whale subscription. It's a referral code again, Kane Cap, KANECAP. Use that code, get 10% off your monthly subscription at Unusual Whales. And yeah, find out where money's flowing, because realistically, that's the way that you're going to be able to ride these waves and this volatility in the stock market. If you enjoyed this content and you thought that it was beneficial, definitely drop a comment, let us know what we can do to improve, and definitely subscribe. We're going to have some more educational videos pertaining to unusual whales and other market topics coming out very shortly. So definitely stay tuned, and I'll see you guys next time.